Balance has been discussed for centuries. What does it require us to be physically fit, mentally fit, and spiritually sound? Many of us are looking for a universal answer for these types of things. I have come to discover something that really there is no replacing. My name is Turab. I make videos about emotional intelligence every day, and my mission today is to convince you to be the best possible person you can be and to live the life that only you can live. Balance for me has been fluctuating as my intentions and my teams have grown in size. And as I consider where I was perhaps a year ago, 4 years ago, 5 years ago, I'm a very different person. Meaning I have a lot more accountability, I have a lot more responsibility, but my ability to execute is also significantly higher than it ever was. And that is by virtue of me building up the habits, building up the community, and the vision to where the things that I do make sense. And I think that in all of our lives, we have these kind of larger goals, these larger intentions. Something that calls to us, that makes living worthwhile. And those of us that pursue that calling, those of us that understand perhaps that it is part of what makes life beautiful, we tend to have to fluctuate our philosophy on balance quite a bit to match our ambition. So I'll give you some context. I'm a dentist and I love to paint. I'm a creative soul. I create music and I am an entrepreneur. I've started a company that's for scaling other businesses. So that alone for a lot of people is a lot of defining characteristics for one person. For a lot of people, we shy away from allowing ourselves to have that complexity because it's difficult to balance. It's incredibly demanding on the soul, on your stress levels, to be able to say to yourself that you do indeed paint, or you do indeed play sports, but also have a child, also have family, also have interests that are perhaps disconnected. And though it may not be efficient, at the end of the day is the life that you want to live. So how do you reconcile the difficulty? How do you say to yourself, you're allowed to take a break here, and this, not so much. This needs to be done every day. I always say to people, set an audacious goal in life. Set something that you believe in the best version of yourself can accomplish with a given amount of time. And the reason I say this is because it makes a dreamer out of us. It gives space to that whimsical part of us, the part that makes life enjoyable and brings out that childishness in us. And on the other end, giving us that kind of breadth of human experience, it gives us the reason, the logic for becoming a better human being, for being more responsible, for being more accountable for the things that we say, and for the people that we hopefully want to help. I was raised by an immigrant widow mother for many, many years, and I still am raised by her. Though into adulthood, you can understand there's a certain amount of space that you need for your own creativity, for your own philosophies to take root, and time that you'll need to make those things a reality, to make them feel in your heart like they're actually a part of you. So balance has been difficult because when I was younger, I had someone saying to me, hey, you always want to put your best foot forward and choose a career path that makes the most sense for your skill set, for your background, but also financially. Quite literally, if you don't have the financial means to feed yourself, to provide yourself with housing, to perhaps go and do the things that you value in life, then what do you have to offer anyone? And many of the wisest people in the world say this as well, that don't have kids so early. Because what do you have to offer, particularly as a man? The other part of me, which has always also been granted permission by my upbringing, was the artistic aspect of me. The painter, the poet, the speaker. And I had to find time to nurture these things. And at some point, I would say about a year ago, I said to myself that I'm going to very consciously make time to nurture these things. That the excuses of other people's emotions, perhaps my shortcomings, the resources that are available to me, and this is different for each one of us, obviously, that those excuses no longer have control over where I'm going and how I'm going to spend my time. And it was at that point that I realized, within a week of applying some of the things that I had learned and thinking really hard about where I wanted to go and how I wanted to utilize my skill set, it took about a week to realize that I can do it. It took about a week to realize that I can be successful in consistency. That my past doesn't necessarily have a bearing on what I'm capable of doing. And the reason I started this channel is on a personal basis. I want you to understand that about yourself. That really is just a series of habits that are disconnecting you from perhaps where you want to be and where you are now. It's a series of things that you have to learn in order to get to that stage in life. And perhaps you're exactly where you want to be. And for all of us, I think that should always be available. Really, genuinely. As I continue to embark in more and more stressful situations, that I think to myself, why in the world would I get myself in this scenario? I am continually building that muscle, that spiritual aspect of myself, to say, hey, you can reconnect to the core of you, that you can find peace when things get difficult, and that I can see the larger picture. That really does help when we're so concentrated on the details. Being a dentist, I can say that with a full awareness of what a millimeter versus perhaps the planet, that scale difference, the philosophy that it requires to take that type of stuff in. But really, I say all this to tell you that I genuinely believe in every single human being's capacity to lift themselves out of feeling badly about the things that we do. Because it really just comes down to the things that we do. So going back to balance, when on the pursuit of an audacious goal, there are going to be necessarily times where the balance cannot exist by virtue of production, by virtue of tangible numeral goals, objective goals, that one can say, I have accomplished this, and I can show this to someone, and it is accomplished. Without this, we will never build the network that's required to get to our goals. Without this understanding of sacrifice and understanding of imbalance, the necessity of imbalance, we will never be able to transcend where many on our same path or similar paths fail. So I want you to really think about what you're willing to give up in order to achieve this audacious goal, if you have taken the time to sit down and write that out. The thought exercise goes something like this. If I change this thing in my life, first of all, what are the environmental factors that are going to influence whether or not that change is easy to make? Second, should I implement this change properly by augmenting that environment? How will it make me feel, and how will it change my life? When we get to that point, the third and final step is this sustainable? Meaning, does it carry forward the innate values that you have as an individual and build on that hairy, audacious goal that you've created? But really, if we don't go through the exercise of prediction, we don't go through the exercise of how we are going to feel on the other end, I believe we're missing a major part of building our emotional intelligence alongside of our worldly prowess, our ability to actually execute. And that emotional intelligence is essential to making sure that it is sustainable. Some of the successful people that I've seen, and successful is always subjective, people that are very wealthy and at least outwardly appear like they're getting what they want out of life. They say that it's very, very important to predict what could go wrong and to plan for the worst case scenario. This in itself comes with its own stress, but I really encourage you to do that if you're going to pursue these incredible goals. Not as a way to stall yourself necessarily. Still take those small steps for sure, but we need to feel that change, that we need to feel that we can adapt to that change prior to going headfirst into it. We need to have that belief in ourselves. It helps a lot. It's helped in my life when I've moved significantly. I move basically every year from middle school to college, elementary school to college, more or less, in my life. And I realized that the recreation of a personality, the augmentation of a new, or the integration of a new environment was easiest for me when I said to myself, okay, I'm going to go through loss, and this is likely what it's going to feel like. What is the most efficient way for me to deal with this? Got me to the point where now I see friend groups very transiently, for better or worse, where I see relationships very transiently, where I see circumstances very transiently. And it makes a lot of interactions very, very important, and it makes a lot of interactions very insignificant. At the end of the day, it is fulfilling vaguely the vision that I have of my soul. And hopefully some of this information helps you fulfill whatever is in your soul. Don't take the steps that someone else has taken unless you want to be like them. Truly. If you have a second, please click that like button. It helps a lot. Subscribe, like this video, and check out this video right here, where I talk about similar topics, perhaps, that you are interested in. Actualize your potential catalyst. This world needs you. Take care of yourself.